Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Peak Physique Podcast. The Peak Physique Podcast is a podcast for adults who want to get their fire back. The mission of the Peak Physique Podcast is to provide valuable information about wellness and also to provide that information in under 15 minutes. With that being said, let's get started. So, as you can see, I'm back into my dungy basement studio. No guest with me today. Last episode, I had Neil Panosian on. It was really nice to have somebody to chat with while we work through the podcast, and we'll be doing that again here in November. But for today, you just got me. Excited about today's topic. We're going to talk about 5 simple ways to prevent injuries. As you know, I am a personal trainer or a coach, as I like to say, and preventing injuries is a big part of what I do at the gym, always wanting to keep people that are coming to me healthy. And these are some of the things that I think you out there in the public could do just on your own to keep yourself safe from injury and keep yourself moving long into the future. So let's start with number one, educate yourself. Or if you're just not into doing that kind of thing, self-help books, getting into a book and reading isn't your thing, hire a coach. That coming from a coach myself. If you are in the Milwaukee area, you can find all my information in the comment section of this podcast, and I'd be happy to help you. If you're out there in the world somewhere else, I highly recommend finding a boutique style gym and a well educated coach. They can gladly help you. If you are into self-help books, I do have a few that I would recommend that I have just sitting behind me here. This one is called Built from Broken, and it really is important, I think, to adults because it talks about how to work with an adult body and introduce strength training and fitness into your life. I read this one cover to cover already, and I learned a lot from it. It makes a lot of complex things about the human body really simple. Another one, which is pretty similar to that one, is Rebuilding Milo. Something that I think separates this one from Built from Broken is that it goes a little bit more in depth into specific body parts, and it really, again, just like the other book, makes some very complex things simple to understand. You can find these books in the comment section of the podcast here if you're interested in reading those. I highly recommend them. Again, both of them are easy to read. I realize you got to be kind of a nerd to want to read fitness books that look like a textbook from school cover to cover, but that's what I'm into. So you don't have to be. Hopefully, the coach you find is interested in reading books like that cover to cover. But again, I found both of them very educational, and they were actually written for the general public. So they were written for you so you can understand how to use your body properly. So that's number one, educate yourself or hire a coach that can promise that they'll educate you the way that you need to understand your body. So number two, I highly recommend taking time to foam roll and mobilize your joints and muscles before you exercise. If you're not familiar with foam rolling, a lot of great content over on YouTube that you can find that'll show you how to get your joints moving and use that foam roller properly. But the foam roller is a great way to get yourself started. At Peak Physique, we start with about 3 minutes of foam rolling. I know it's not a lot. I'd prefer to do more, but we're kind of strapped for time. And then we jump into some mobilization stuff. But that just gets your body prepared for exercise and gets you kind of in the state of mind that you're ready to go once you hit whatever particular workout you're going to be doing that day. Um, at first, when you foam roll, it might not be comfortable, might actually hurt a little bit, but once your body gets familiar with the foam roller and you loosen up a little bit, it actually feels pretty good. It's almost like you're giving yourself a massage. Again, you can find great content on YouTube and pretty much all over the web on how to foam roll properly. So that's number two. Number three, I highly recommend you create a program for your workouts and you track your progress using that program. So, what I mean by that specifically is more like when you're in the gym lifting weights, writing down what you're doing day one of your workout, what you're doing day two of your workout, what you're doing day three of your workouts, and tracking how many reps you did, how much weight you lifted, That way you can use that to set the standard for what you're doing in the future, or if something bad does happen where you do experience an injury, you can look back on what you did that might have caused that injury, dial back on it, or modify whatever it might be. But if you're just showing up to the gym without a plan, it's just not really a great way to go about things. It's everything you do when you walk into that place should be planned for you already. If you can't do that yourself, going back to what I said before, hire a coach. That's what they're supposed to do. They'll have everything ready for you, and hopefully they'll have a plan written that keeps your body safe and gets you results as well. But again, create some sort of program, track your results. That's the only way you're going to grow. Number 4, take rest days when necessary, and always, always, always listen to your body. I don't recommend working out 7 days a week. Um, I guess I should say a little bit more specifically, like if you're counting a workout as like mowing your lawn, going for a walk with your dog, going for a hike, I wouldn't say necessarily that that's what I'm counting as a workout. Technically, that could be a rest day depending on what kind of condition your body's in. What I'm talking about taking a rest day from is specifically like strength training days, or days where you're going on really long runs and putting a lot of stress on your joints. Taking those rest days is going to allow your body to heal specifically in the joints that you're putting pressure on. And it also, like if you're lifting weights a lot, gives your muscles time to recover and rebuild, and hopefully get you some results from the previous workouts. Listening to your body is also important when it comes to preventing injury. If you're doing something exercise specific and your body's giving you feedback that isn't good, like it's pain, you should listen to that. There's something that's obviously not right if your body's responding to a movement with pain, and ignoring it is only going to make the problem worse in the long run. Um, in the fitness world, they have a saying: you cannot build strength on injury. Doing so, or I think I'm not saying that right. No, you cannot build strength on dysfunction. That's how the saying goes. So, what that means is like if a joint isn't bending properly, um, and you're trying to work to build the muscle around it stronger, eventually, if not right away, you're going to encounter some sort of injury. So your body will give you feedback on that stuff, but if you keep pushing past it, eventually it's going to catch up with you in a bad way. Your best thing to do when your body tells you something, like maybe your shoulders hurt from doing something overhead, is to research perhaps why that's happening, and try to tackle all of the things like using a foam roller and mobilizing that joint to see if you can loosen it up and maybe move beyond the pain. Again, go out to YouTube, lots of content on that. You can search specifically for whatever site of pain that your body's giving you and how to heal it. Um, Things might not always come to you by doing that. And when it doesn't, again, the best thing to do is look for a professional who might have the answers. In that case, a lot of the times it'd be like a PT, a physical therapist, or a sports therapist who's kind of familiar with that department. Sometimes you can find good coaches out there in the gyms that know how to address stuff like that, but sometimes that goes beyond most of our scope. So that's number 4. Take those rest days, listen to your body. Number 5, make strength training your primary form of exercise if you want to prevent injury. Strength training, if it's done properly, is like bulletproofing your body. It makes your bones thicker, more dense, which means you can count on having a strong, healthy structure well into your elder years. In my opinion, you should be building that up the minute your body's allowed to work out with weights, which is probably about 13, 14 years old. But the better you can make those bones dense, the longer you're going to hold on to that density into your elder years. Does the same thing to your tendons, your joints. Thicker tendons mean that those muscles aren't going to be as vulnerable to injury when you're doing things that are a little bit more explosive. And again, in general, um, lifting weights, strength training just makes your body bulletproof and less susceptible to injury. Now, if you look at things on the other end of the spectrum, like let's just use running as an example. If you're running a lot, it's high impact and lots of repetitions. Your feet are slamming the ground. You're catching everything from the ground up to your shoulders. Mostly from the hips down, things are affected by that repetitive motion. But if you're doing that on a constant basis and not really lifting weights much, you're going to encounter injury. That's just pretty much a common thing amongst runners. Um, you might find a few people that don't have that happen, but in general, if you run or do some sort of high cardio, high impact movement like running, you're going to encounter some sort of injury. Um, Doing your strength training primarily and sandwiching in things like runs in between your strength training programs are going to kind of lower your chances of experiencing an injury. Not to say that it's going to be 100% less chance of getting injured, but in general, people experience a lot more injuries when they're doing those high impact movements. I hate to say it, like boot camps, again, running, that sort of thing is just a little bit more stressful on the body, whereas the strength training is more built to bulletproof all of your body and just make you stronger, more balanced. But it all comes back to if you're doing it the right way. Anyway, those were the 5 things that you can do to prevent injury. It's all pretty simple. Let's do a quick review here before we wrap things up. So, number 1, educate yourself. If you're not into educating yourself, if you have the means to, hire a coach that's educated already so they can take care of your body the way it should be. Number 2, take time to foam roll and mobilize your joints and muscles before you exercise. Very important. Science right now says foam rolling first, mobilizing second. Number 3, create a program, track your results so you're challenging your body right, and you can reflect on things if you have to go back and look at something that might have not felt good down the road. Number 4, take rest days. Listen to your body when it doesn't like a movement. And finally, number 5, make strength training your primary form of exercise. I hope you guys have found this helpful. Again, this comes from years of experience. Really simple stuff that you can do just to make sure that you don't end up on the bench when all you're trying to do is make yourself healthier. If you found this podcast helpful and you know some people out there that might as well, please share it up on social media, wherever you can, post the link. And again, if you're looking for information on the books that I shared today, they'll be in the comment section, as well as my email if you'd like to get a hold of me for setting up some possible training. Have a great day. Thanks again. You guys are awesome. Look forward to having some more guests here in the future. Take care, everybody.